Okay, so Lois Cookie Green and I are back. She's the founder of From Stuttering to Confidence. I think the most active and best Facebook site there is, better than mine, that's for sure. And I'm Larry Stein, Stein on Stuttering. And so Cookie has another question for me. What is it, my friend?
Now, this is a pretty good question because I've heard from a lot of people, some of my members, they are saying that they really benefit and they really like that topic that you teach, and that is BEP. Now, they say that helps them to speak a lot smoother. And they have found great progress in it. I want you to tell me a little bit about this process. What is it all about? Give us some info.
Okay. So first, let me just say that this BEP thing that I came up with, it's really not my invention. It really isn't. It's just when I was really having trouble speaking, I was the late president of a very small nonprofit, and not getting paid for it. They asked me several times to do it. I kept on turning them down because I'd have to give speeches, and the last speech I had given was decades before that, and it was a 10-minute speech that took me 28 minutes. So that gives you some idea as to how severe my stutter was. But I ended up taking the position. I ended up doing these little 5-minute speeches once in a while, and I led board meetings once a month. And I kind of just fell into phrasing, which I had learned many decades before when I was in high school, when I was at University of Chicago, and prior to that, Northwestern University, as a kid in speech therapy, phrasing. And the University of Chicago is phrasing and then pause, phrasing, pause. Fine. So that was helping me through in these speeches and board meetings. And one night I came out of a board meeting, I was kind of upset, and my back was against the wall with my work because I just opened my own business. It was about 1 year in, and I loved it, but I didn't have enough clients because I was making network meetings through email. Email had just gotten popular then. And so I was making 1 million network meetings, but that's not how you get, that's not in the investment field. That's not how you get investment clients of $1 million or more by just networking. You actually have to ask very tough questions, and you have to probe, and you gotta, really build relationships. And so I hardly had any clients, and I was in trouble. I literally was in trouble. And so I was just walking out of this board meeting one night, and it hit me that I speak better when I public speak. Public speak at the time was just phrasing. Okay. And so I said, why don't I just public speak all the time? And that's how desperate I was. And so I decided that's how I'm going to throw away how I spoke, and I'm going to speak in phrases. And my speech improved a little bit. And of course, there's so much more to stuttering than technique. This is just, one little thing. And so then over the months, and that would be a longer video or multiple videos, but I then realized that, so I began watching Matt Lauer. Well, I'd always watched Matt Lauer on the Today Show. I thought he was such a compelling speaker, and it soon hit me that he is emphasizing words in every phrase. For him, it was to make it more compelling listening, and to impress a point. For me, I later realized that it cleared out my breath so that I could take a fresh breath. So if you were to chart my breath when I was stuttering a lot, it was like this. I mean, little half breaths, and there's a whole story with that, and that's a whole other video. But but with emphasizing, so I would inhale, talk, emphasize the word, use up my breath, and take a fresh breath. So it was like a big sine wave. Just I was breathing. There was airflow. It was moving. I pictured it like a fountain flowing. And it's very hard to stutter if you're in a flow. And I still did. I would say, in terms of my progress, if I was trying to go from here to here, BEP may have gotten me that far. And it isn't that I created anything. I was just mimicking what how good speakers speak.
Oh, okay.
Matt Lauer, how these other broadcasters speak. There was so much more to add to that to get me to where I am today, which I never expected, which was, the psychological aspects, working through that, and then working through speaking situations one small step at a time. But BEP was my foundation. That was where the whole thing started. And I think why it's helpful is that, it's kind of taking this massive problem we call stuttering, which I don't understand. I don't think anyone does, frankly. And on the internet, you can see everyone understands it, but they still stutter. Or, all the professors understand it, but they don't seem to help anyone. And it's just taking that massive problem that no one understands really, and is very individual as well, and breaking it down to one phrase at a time. So my thing was to speak one phrase at a time. I can't say a sentence. I can't give long thoughts and all that stuff. But at that point, if I breathe, if I emphasize, if I was expressive, I could say a phrase, usually. Usually. And I could say a phrase, and then I could say the next phrase. So I literally went one phrase at a time. And the most important thing I realized, because when the pressure runs on, everything goes out the window. When a person who stutters is under pressure, we can't think, everything goes out the window. What technique should I use now? Crazy. Can't do it. At least I couldn't. Even though I practiced it so much and it was so internal to me, I had to make it automatic so that I didn't have to think about it at all. So I'm not thinking, what technique should I use? No. This is how I speak all the time. If you met me in person and we were just walking along or having lunch or something, this is how I speak all the time. If you, got angry at me, if it was a pressured situation, this is how I speak there's no thought involved. I'm not thinking of phrases. I'm speaking in phrases. I'm being expressive. I'm emphasizing words, but I'm not thinking about it, because this is how I talk all the time. And without having it be automatic, to me, it's just another technique. And all techniques are going to fail. I don't care what it is. There's no magic in this stuff. This is how I speak all the time. And that's the first step, for me at least. And it was really about a 2-year journey. After I had improved my speech quite a bit before that. I mean, when I was in high school, I couldn't even read by myself. If I was in a closed room by myself, I couldn't even read without stuttering heavily. I couldn't even talk without stuttering heavily. That's how severe. So I had a long way to go, but I improved over the years because I was in the workforce. But and I began talking and getting to situations and talking more. But still in pressured situations, I would fall apart. But BEP was my foundation. That was the first step to where I am now. Make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it seems to work with other people, because what they're saying is that once we learn that that taking that breath, pausing and emphasizing, that's where we learn to speak more smoothly. And what they say is that they learned that Larry, so whatever was taught was deeply embedded, worked. It was something that they felt positive about.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I have to get with him and ask to explain that process. And I like how you say that if you form something to be a technique, it's probably going to fail under pressure.
Yep, it is going to fail. That's why, I mean, people ask me, do you have any tips? Do you have any tricks? Do you have any techniques? I go, I have nothing. I have zero. This is all a lot of hard work, brute force, hard work, but you have to have a strategy that makes sense. And to me, mimicking how great speakers speak
Right,
made sense. But that was just the foundation. That was really just the first step for me.
right.
There was so much more, which we can get into in future videos.
Yeah, we can do that because right now, I mean, you can really go for talking on this and take hours and hours. But anyway, yeah, that'll be a topic for maybe next time
Good enough.
discussion.
Always great to be with you, and we'll talk again soon.
And thank you so much.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.